New Year's Eve, I put down my phone. Aside from posting stuff I already had recorded, I did not look at my phone. I didn't open social media until late in the evening on the 1st. And that's when I got to find out that someone had carried out a terrorist attack in New Orleans in the early hours of New Year's Day. 15 dead, including the driver, after exchanging gunfire with police. More than 3 dozen injured. I know people who live in that area. I know people who are visiting that area. All who were around there and witnessed things they shouldn't have witnessed. And the right was quick to jump on this because when there's a mass casualty event like this, I feel like the right stands around like a bunch of contestants in a beauty pageant where they're all like holding hands and closing their eyes. Only instead of hoping they're the winner, they're just repeating under their breath, please don't be a white guy, please don't be a white guy. So when they saw this face and that name, they were like, yippee. Only him being that wasn't enough for them.
I don't know if enough attention is being paid to this, but we all know that for the last 4 years, the Biden administration has been completely derelict in its duty. The congressional Republicans, we here in the House and the Senate, have repeatedly asked the DHS under the Biden administration about the correlation, the obvious concern about terrorism and the wide open border. The idea that dangerous people were coming here in droves and setting up potentially terrorist cells around the country. We have been ringing the alarms.
Oh, these immigrants coming in doing these terrible things. And then even Trump screaming about the immigrants. There's only one problem with blaming immigrants for this.
Good evening. I'm Shamsuddin Jabbar, property manager with Blue Meadow Properties. So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch.
He was born here and served in our military. Speaking of served in our military, this also happened. 1 dead after Cybertruck explodes outside Trump Hotel. If you didn't see, a Cybertruck full of a homemade explosive made at least in part from fireworks was detonated in front of Trump's hotel in Las Vegas. The 1 dead was the driver. And that driver was active military, special forces. So they both served in U.S. military. They both were stationed at the same base, although they could have been there at different times. We don't know for sure that they overlapped. But that isn't the end of the similarities. Also, both seemed to use electric vehicles for what they carried out. His was a Cybertruck, obviously. The Ford that he was driving that he had rented was an electric Ford. And then they both used the Toro app to rent the vehicles. Could just be a coincidence, but it's kind of odd. And it seems like it could at least point to this being more of an organized thing. And there seems to be indication that there was, at least in the New Orleans incident, an organized thing that involved more than just him, because police have video appearing to show several people planting potential explosive devices before the New Orleans vehicle attack, sources say. Also, some on the right are already crying about the fact that some headlines say stuff like this: vehicle attack. Oh, it was a vehicle attack? The vehicle did it? The car did it? It doesn't fit your narrative to say what the driver's name was. Yeah, miss me with that shit, because none of you had anything to say back at Charlottesville when headlines said shit like this. In fact, the Wikipedia page for that incident is titled Charlottesville Car Attack. Those of us who can use critical thinking understands that car was driven by someone. The same people get angry when there's a school shooting and we say, can we please try and stop children from dying? They'll accuse us of politicizing a tragedy. We'll literally take a tragedy where 15 people died, dozens injured, hundreds more scarred for life, and they will turn that into a conversation about immigration when an immigrant wasn't even involved.